The quantum anomaly detector at SETI's Arecibo facility wasn't supposed to be active that night. Dr. Maya Patel had left it running purely by accident, her mind preoccupied with budget cuts and the looming threat of facility closure. But at 3:47 a.m. Earth Standard Time, the detector's alert shattered the quiet night, its urgent beeping echoing through empty corridors. The signal was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. It didn't follow known patterns of stellar phenomena or random space noise. It was structured, deliberate, and carried an unmistakable message. Earth was being watched. Within hours, the world's leading scientists and military leaders converged on the facility. Among them was Dr. James Kenzo, quantum physicist and head of the Global Defense Initiative's Technology Division. As he studied the signal's pattern, his expression grew increasingly grave. "This isn't just first contact," he announced to the assembled group. "It's a warning." The signal, once decoded, revealed the existence of the Arcturus Dominion, a vast civilization spanning thousands of star systems. They had been observing Earth for centuries, watching humanity's technological progress with growing concern. Now they had decided to make their presence known. Their message was clear. Earth's rapid advancement in quantum computing and AI development had caught their attention. To the Dominion, such progress from a young species was not just unexpected, it was dangerous. Admiral Sarah Chen, recently appointed commander of Earth's United Space Force, stood at the briefing room window, watching the sunrise. "How long do we have?" she asked, her voice steady despite the weight of the situation. "They've given us one standard Earth year," Dr. Kenzo replied. "Either we halt all quantum research and submit to their oversight, or they'll—" He paused, searching for the right words. "They'll ensure we can't pose a threat to their dominion." The room fell silent. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for generations, but not like this. Not as an ultimatum. "There's something else," Dr. Patel interjected, her fingers dancing across her holographic display. "The signal's quantum signature. It's similar to our own experimental quantum communication systems, but far more advanced. They're not just worried about our progress. They're afraid of it." Admiral Chen turned from the window, her eyes reflecting a determined gleam. "Then we've already found their weakness. They wouldn't be threatening us if they weren't concerned about our potential." Over the next few days, as governments worldwide grappled with the revelation, a pattern emerged in the Dominion's message. Their civilization, despite its vast size and technological superiority, operated on principles of strict control and technological suppression. They didn't just want to stop Earth's advancement. They wanted to prevent humanity from developing technologies that could challenge their worldview. Dr. Kenzo's team worked tirelessly, analyzing every aspect of the signal. They discovered that the Dominion's quantum communication technology, while advanced, followed predictable patterns. It was efficient but rigid, lacking the innovative approaches that Earth's scientists had been exploring. "They're stagnant," Dr. Patel realized one night, as she and Dr. Kenzo pored over the data. All this power, all this advancement, but they stopped pushing boundaries. They're not exploring new possibilities anymore. Admiral Chen saw an opportunity in this revelation. While the world's leaders debated submission versus resistance, she quietly began mobilizing Earth's resources. Scientists, engineers, and military strategists were gathered in secret facilities around the globe. If humanity had to fight, they would do so in their own unique way. The first month after the signal saw unprecedented cooperation between nations. Old rivalries were set aside as humanity faced its first true existential threat from beyond the stars. Research facilities worldwide shared data and resources, working together to understand and potentially counter the Dominion's technology. But it wasn't just about military preparation. Dr. Patel's team made a breakthrough in quantum communication that suggested humanity's approach to quantum mechanics might be fundamentally different from the Dominion's. Where they sought control and predictability, Earth's scientists embraced chaos and uncertainty, leading to innovations the Dominion hadn't considered possible. As the year's deadline approached, Earth faced a choice that would determine the fate of human civilization. Submit to the Dominion's demands and surrender humanity's potential, or risk everything on the belief that human ingenuity and determination could find a way to survive, and perhaps even triumph, against an enemy that had dominated the stars for millennia. Admiral Chen's words to the United Earth Council would be remembered for generations to come. They expect us to bow down because they're older, more advanced, more numerous. But they've forgotten something crucial about younger species. We're not bound by their limitations. We're not constrained by their assumptions. And most importantly, we're not afraid to think differently. The clock was ticking, and humanity's greatest test was about to begin. 6 months after the Dominion's ultimatum, Admiral Sarah Chen stood in Earth's most secure facility, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The enormous holographic display before her showed hundreds of small dots moving across the solar system. The Dominion's surveillance probes, growing more numerous by the day. "They're testing our response times," she observed, watching as another cluster of probes entered lunar orbit. "Every incursion pushes a little further, measures our capabilities a little more precisely." Dr. James Kenzo nodded, his fingers manipulating the holographic controls to highlight patterns in the probe's movements. "But they haven't detected our quantum signatures yet. The containment fields are holding." This was humanity's greatest gambit, while the world openly showed signs of submission, publicly announcing the shutdown of quantum research facilities and dismantling visible military installations. The real work continued in secret. Deep underground facilities, shielded by experimental quantum fields, housed humanity's true response to the Dominion's threat. Dr. Maya Patel rushed into the command center, her usual composed demeanor replaced by barely contained excitement. "The Q-core tests were successful," she announced, bringing up new data on the display. "We've achieved stable quantum entanglement across the entire solar system." This was what they had been working toward. While the Dominion's technology relied on brute force and established principles, humanity had taken a different approach. Instead of fighting against quantum uncertainty, they had embraced it, creating a communication and defense system that existed in a state of controlled chaos. "Show me," Admiral Chen commanded, and the holographic display shifted to reveal a web of quantum connections spanning from Mercury to Neptune. Each node represented a hidden facility, or automated defense platform, all connected through quantum entanglement in ways the Dominion's rigid systems couldn't detect. But not everyone supported the Admiral's strategy. General Marcus Wade, representing the traditional defense coalition, entered the command center with several senior military officers. "This is madness, Chen," he declared. "We're betting humanity's survival on untested technology, while dismantling our conventional defenses." Admiral Chen turned to face him, her expression stern. "The conventional approach would have us dead within hours of their first attack. We've all seen the simulations. Their weapons technology is centuries ahead of our traditional systems. And your solution is to risk everything on quantum tricks," Wade demanded. Dr. Kenzo stepped forward. "It's not just tricks, General. We've discovered something fundamental about quantum mechanics that the Dominion either missed or chose to ignore. Their technology treats quantum states as tools to be controlled. We're treating them as partners in a dance." The explanation did little to satisfy Wade and his supporters, but they were interrupted by an urgent alert. One of the Dominion's larger vessels had appeared at the edge of the solar system, the first capital ship to enter Earth's vicinity since the ultimatum. "They're early," Dr. Patel noted, her fingers flying over the controls as she analyzed the ship's signature. "The deadline isn't for another 6 months." Admiral Chen studied the vessel's approach. "No, this isn't an attack. It's a demonstration. They want to remind us of what we're facing." She turned to address the entire command center. "This is exactly why we needed to think differently. Look at their ship. Massive, powerful, and completely predictable. They're showing us their strength, but they're also showing us their limitations." The Dominion vessel's quantum signature was indeed powerful but rigid, following the same patterns they had observed in the probes. Earth's new quantum network, by contrast, shifted and flowed like water, impossible to pin down or predict unless you were part of the system. Dr. Kenzo pulled up new data on a secondary display. Every scan they make of our system gives us more information about their technology. They think they're gathering intelligence on us, but they're actually helping us refine our countermeasures. The next few hours were tense as the Dominion ship conducted its survey of the solar system. On the surface, it found exactly what it expected: a civilization appearing to bow to its demands, dismantling advanced technology, and returning to a more acceptable level of development. But deep beneath the surface, humanity's real preparations continued. The quantum network grew stronger, more sophisticated, learning and adapting with each probe and scan. Admiral Chen's gambit was taking shape, transforming humanity's apparent weakness into its greatest strength. They see what they expect to see, she explained to the assembled leaders. A young species backing down from a superior force. But that's not who we are. That's never been who we are. Humanity doesn't back down from challenges. We overcome them. We don't accept limitations. We transcend them. As the Dominion ship finally departed, Admiral Chen received word that the last phase of Project Quantum Shield was ready for testing. If it worked, humanity would have a defense system unlike anything the Dominion could anticipate. If it failed, there would be no second chances. Proceed with the test, she ordered, knowing that everything now hinged on humanity's ability to prove that sometimes the greatest power lies not in dominating quantum mechanics, but in learning to work in harmony with it. The countdown to humanity's moment of truth had begun. The Dominion's main fleet arrived 3 months ahead of their deadline. Thousands of ships emerged from faster-than-light travel, their massive forms blotting out the stars as they approached Earth. The message was clear: submit now or face immediate destruction. In her command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Chen watched the fleet's arrival with an outward calm that belied her internal tension. Status of the quantum network, she asked, her voice steady. Operating at 100% efficiency, Dr. Paddle reported from her station. The Dominion ships are scanning us, but they're only seeing our decoy signatures. The real network remains undetected. Dr. Kenzo's hands moved across his console, monitoring the quantum field fluctuations. Their scan patterns are exactly as predicted. They're still using the same rigid quantum protocols we observed 6 months ago. Admiral Chen nodded. Then they haven't adapted. Good. She turned to address the command center staff. Operation Starbreak commences in 30 minutes. All personnel to battle stations. The plan they had developed was audacious. While conventional military wisdom would have called for a defensive strategy against such overwhelming forces, humanity had prepared something entirely different. They would use the Dominion's own technological superiority against them. As the enemy fleet moved into position around Earth, their commanding officer, High Marshal Ven, transmitted his demand for surrender. His holographic form materialized in the UN Assembly Hall, towering and imperious. Your time has expired, he declared. Submit to immediate technological regression and Dominion oversight, or we will reduce your civilization to ash. The response he received was not what he expected. Instead of fear or capitulation, the human representatives simply smiled. In the command center, Admiral Chen gave the order. Execute Operation Starbreak. Across the solar system, hidden quantum nodes activated simultaneously. The network that humanity had built didn't try to match the Dominion's raw power. Instead, it created something entirely new, a quantum resonance field that turned the space around Earth into a giant quantum uncertainty zone. The effect on the Dominion fleet was immediate and devastating. Their rigid, highly structured quantum systems began to malfunction as they encountered patterns they weren't designed to handle. Ships lost communication with each other, weapon systems failed to lock onto targets, and their precise formation began to break apart. They're experiencing exactly what we predicted, Dr. Kenzo reported, watching the chaos unfold. Their quantum systems are too inflexible to adapt to our induced uncertainty field. Admiral Chen pressed the advantage. Launch Phase 2. Earth's hidden defense platforms activated, releasing swarms of quantum-entangled drones. Unlike traditional weapons, these drones existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously, making them impossible for Dominion targeting systems to track effectively. High Marshal Ven's voice crackled through compromised communication channels, showing the first signs of uncertainty. "What is this? Your technology was supposed to be primitive. You made a fundamental mistake." Admiral Chen responded through the quantum network. "You assumed that because we were younger, we must be inferior. You never considered that we might have found a different path." The battle that followed would be studied for generations to come. The mighty Dominion fleet, with all its advanced technology and overwhelming firepower, found itself unable to effectively fight an enemy that refused to play by their established rules of warfare. Dr. Patel's quantum communication system proved its worth as it coordinated Earth's defense with perfect efficiency, while the Dominion ships struggled to maintain basic contact with each other. Their rigid command structure, faced with a situation their protocols hadn't prepared them for, began to fall apart. But the humans weren't fighting for destruction. As Dominion ships began to retreat in disarray, Admiral Chen implemented the final phase of Operation Starbreak. The quantum network shifted its configuration, creating a clear path for the enemy fleet to withdraw. "We could press our advantage," General Wade argued, watching the Dominion ships flee. "Strike while they're vulnerable." Admiral Chen shook her head. "That's not our goal. We didn't develop this technology to destroy them, but to show them there's another way. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in defeating your enemy, but in making them question their assumptions." As the last Dominion ships prepared to retreat, Earth transmitted one final message, crafted by Dr. Patel and Dr. Kenzo. It contained the basic principles of their quantum uncertainty technology, not enough to replicate it, but enough to demonstrate that there were other approaches to quantum mechanics than the rigid control the Dominion had always relied upon. High Marshal Ven's final transmission was brief but spoke volumes. Perhaps we have more to learn from you than we realized." As the Dominion fleet disappeared into faster-than-light travel, the command center erupted in celebration. But Admiral Chen's expression remained thoughtful. They had won this battle, but she knew this was just the beginning. The Dominion would return, either as enemies determined to understand and counter this new technology, or as reluctant students ready to learn a different way of thinking. Either way, humanity had proven itself ready for the challenges ahead. They had shown that true strength lies not in overwhelming power, but in the ability to adapt, to think differently, and to find new solutions to old problems. "The quantum network is stable," Dr. Patel reported, "and we're detecting significant changes in the remaining Dominion probe patterns. They're trying to understand what we did." "Good," Admiral Chen replied. "Let them study it. Let them learn that the universe is far more complex and wonderful than their rigid systems can account for." The first round had gone to humanity, but the real test was just beginning. The celebration of humanity's victory over the Dominion fleet lasted less than 24 hours. Dr. Maya Patel was reviewing quantum network logs when she noticed something that made her blood run cold. There were unauthorized access patterns in the system, originating from within their own facility. "Admiral," she called, her voice tense. "We have a problem." Admiral Chen was at her station within moments, studying the data with narrowed eyes. The access signatures showed that someone had been transmitting detailed information about Earth's quantum defense system to an unknown recipient. The timestamps went back months, long before the battle. "How bad?" Chen asked quietly. "They have everything," Dr. Patel replied. "The basic principles of our quantum uncertainty field, the drone control systems, even the theoretical framework behind our breakthrough. Someone wants the Dominion to know exactly how we beat them." The implications were staggering. Earth's greatest advantage had been the unexpected nature of their defense. If the Dominion had time to analyze and adapt to their methods, the next confrontation would be far more dangerous. Dr. Kenzo joined them, his face grim. "It gets worse. I've detected quantum communication bursts matching Dominion protocols, but they're coming from Earth. Someone down here has Dominion communication technology. Admiral Chen's response was immediate. Lock down all facilities. No one goes in or out until we find the source of these transmissions. And get me General Wade. His security teams need to. She stopped, a sudden realization hitting her. Where is the general? A quick check confirmed that General Marcus Wade, along with several key members of the Traditional Defense Coalition, had disappeared shortly after the battle. Their access credentials, however, were still being used to transfer massive amounts of data through the quantum network. They think they're saving humanity, Dr. Kenzo said, understanding dawning in his eyes. Wade and his followers, they believe that by giving the Dominion our secrets, they can negotiate better terms of surrender. The command center erupted into action. Security teams deployed throughout the facility while Dr. Patel and her team worked frantically to trace the quantum transmissions. The betrayal cut deep. These weren't just random traitors, but high-ranking officials who had been part of Earth's defense planning from the beginning. They're running scared, Admiral Chen observed, watching the sensor feeds. The battle proved our technology works, but it also showed them how close we came to all-out war with an interstellar civilization. They think submission is safer than risking another confrontation. Dr. Patel's console chimed with an alert. We've located their primary transmission facility. It's in an abandoned mining complex in the Australian outback. They're using the old mineral deposits to mask their quantum signatures. But before they could act on this information, long-range sensors detected new contacts at the edge of the solar system. The Dominion was returning, and this time their fleet was even larger. They've had time to process the data Wade sent them, Dr. Kenzo warned. Their quantum signatures are already showing signs of adaptation. They're learning to work with uncertainty rather than against it. Admiral Chen studied the tactical display, her mind racing. They were facing threats from both within and without, and their own defensive technology might have been compromised. But as she watched the Dominion fleets approach, she noticed something odd about their formation. They're not in attack positions, she realized. Look at their spacing, their energy signatures. This isn't an assault force, it's a diplomatic mission. The confirmation came moments later as a transmission reached Earth, not from the trader's facility, but from the Dominion fleet itself. High Marshal Ven's holographic form appeared in the command center, but his usual arrogance was replaced by something closer to curiosity. "We have received your technical data," he announced. "It has caused considerable debate within the Dominion Council. Your approach to quantum mechanics challenges everything we believed about the nature of reality. We wish to understand." Admiral Chen glanced at Dr. Patel, who nodded confirmation. The transmission was genuine. "You've seen only a fraction of what we've discovered," Chen replied carefully. "The traitors who sent you that data don't understand the full implications of our work." "Perhaps," Ven acknowledged, "but what we've seen has forced us to question assumptions we've held for millennia. The Dominion Council has authorized me to propose a different arrangement, not submission, but collaboration." It was a stunning development, but they couldn't celebrate yet. Wade and his followers were still at large, potentially capable of causing tremendous damage if they thought their plan for peaceful submission was being rejected. "We need to contain the internal threat before we can consider any diplomatic proposals," Admiral Chen told Ven. "Our own people could still trigger a disaster if they think it will prevent war." The High Marshal's response was unexpected. "We can help with that. The quantum signatures of our communication devices are distinctive. We can provide you with exact tracking protocols." Dr. Kenzo's eyes lit up. "With their data, we could locate every Dominion quantum transmitter on Earth within hours." And so humanity found itself in an ironic position, working with the very civilization they had prepared to fight against in order to prevent their own people from forcing a peace that was no longer needed. The hunt for the traitors was about to begin, but the nature of the game had changed completely. The real question was no longer about victory or defeat, but about how to bridge the gap between two very different ways of thinking about the universe. The joint Earth-Dominion operation to track down General Wade and his followers took less than 48 hours. With the Dominion's tracking protocols and Earth's quantum network, the traitors' hidden facilities were quickly located. What they found inside, however, was far more disturbing than anyone had anticipated. "This isn't just a transmitter," Dr. Patel reported as she studied the captured facility systems. "They were building something that combines our quantum uncertainty principles with Dominion control protocols." Dr. Kenzo's analysis confirmed her worst fears. "It's a quantum cascade device. If activated, it would force every quantum system within the solar system into a single rigid state. Our defenses, the Dominion ships, even natural quantum processes, everything would lock into place." They weren't just trying to surrender, Admiral Chen realized. They were trying to force both sides to stop developing quantum technology altogether. In their minds, the only safe path forward was to make it impossible for anyone to use these principles at all. The discovery sparked intense debate both on Earth and among the Dominion fleet. The device represented a fundamental question about the nature of progress and the responsibility that came with advanced technology. Wade and his followers had seen humanity's quantum breakthrough not as an achievement, but as a dangerous step toward chaos. High Marshal Venn, speaking from his flagship, offered a surprising perspective. "We understand their fear. The Dominion's entire civilization was built on the principle of controlling quantum mechanics, forcing it to behave according to our rules. When we encountered your methods, it challenged everything we believed about the nature of reality." But before they could decide how to proceed, alarms blared throughout the facility. Despite being captured, Wade had managed to activate a deadman switch. The quantum cascade device was powering up, its effects already beginning to ripple through nearby space. "The process has started," Dr. Kenzo warned, his hands flying over the controls. "Once it reaches critical mass, it will force every quantum system in range into absolute stability. No uncertainty, no probability, just fixed, unchangeable states." Admiral Chen turned to Dr. Patel. "Can we stop it?" "Not directly," she replied. "But maybe we don't have to." Her eyes lit up with sudden inspiration. "What if, instead of fighting the cascade, we work with it? Use our uncertainty principles to guide it rather than resist it." The next few hours would be remembered as one of humanity's finest moments. As the quantum cascade expanded, threatening to lock all of reality into rigid patterns, Earth's scientists and their Dominion counterparts worked together to shape its effects. Instead of forcing quantum systems into absolute states, they used the cascade to create something entirely new. "It's working," Dr. Patel announced as the reading stabilized. "The cascade isn't eliminating quantum uncertainty. It's creating a framework where different approaches to quantum mechanics can coexist. Structure and chaos, control and uncertainty, all working together in harmony." The effect was transformative. Throughout the solar system, Earth's quantum uncertainty networks and Dominion control systems began to interact in ways that neither civilization had thought possible. Rather than one approach dominating the other, they found a balance that enhanced both. In the aftermath, as the dust settled and the immediate crisis passed, humanity and the Dominion found themselves facing a new reality. The very attempt to prevent their cooperation had instead forced them to achieve something remarkable together. High Marshal Venn, speaking to a joint session of Earth's United Council and the Dominion Command, summed up what they had learned. "We sought to prevent what we saw as dangerous advancement, while some among you sought to prevent what they saw as dangerous chaos. Both sides were wrong. The true path forward lies not in control or chaos alone, but in understanding how to embrace both." Admiral Chen, standing beside him, added her own reflection. "The universe is vast and full of mysteries. No single approach, no matter how advanced, can hope to understand it all. It's only by remaining open to new ideas, new ways of thinking, that we can truly progress." The cooperation between Earth and the Dominion would reshape both civilizations. Earth's quantum uncertainty principles revolutionized Dominion technology, while their ancient knowledge helped humanity refine and perfect their innovations. Together, they began exploring the galaxy not as superior and inferior species, but as partners in discovery. As for General Wade and his followers, they were not punished as traitors, but treated as a reminder of an important truth. Progress often frightens us because it challenges what we believe we know. Their fear had nearly ended both civilizations' development, but instead had forced them to achieve something greater than either could have managed alone. 1 year after the quantum cascade incident, Dr. Patel stood in the new Joint Research Center, watching Earth and Dominion scientists work side by side. The quantum fields around them danced with both precision and uncertainty, a visible symbol of how two seemingly opposed approaches could create something greater than the sum of their parts. "We were all wrong," she told Dr. Kenzo as they observed the collaboration. The Dominion thought controlling quantum mechanics was the only way forward. Wade thought stopping quantum research was the only way to be safe. But the real answer was learning to see things differently. All of us. The stars beckoned, and for the first time, humanity looked to them, not with fear of superior civilizations or dreams of proving themselves, but with the confidence of a species that had learned perhaps the most important lesson of all. True strength lies not in power or control, but in the ability to adapt, to learn, and to grow together.